The following has been inspired by the moongadget.com website, the Star Wars Origins Star Wars Inspiration website. I will provide the link to the website down below. The lightsaber. The Star Wars Origins project began with one question. How did George Lucas invent the lightsaber? I thought it would be easy to find an answer, but the search ultimately led to 2 years of research culminating in this website. Studying lightsabers taught me two important things. One, a magic item in a fairy tale is just like a character. They're interesting in direct proportions to the number of archetypal masks they wear. That's why Luke's lightsaber is such a memorable part of the original trilogy. It's a gift from his mentor who passed it along from his father, which Luke uses to fight his father, which his father destroys, so he builds a new one, which ultimately he refuses to use against his father. These are all important mythic steps, and each one infuses the saber with more mythical power. In The Phantom Menace, lightsabers are beautifully depicted but serve fewer mythic roles, making them less narratively interesting. The second lesson I learned from the creation of lightsabers is that the more ideas you can compress into a single metaphor, the more powerful that metaphor will be. But there's a limitation. The metaphor must remain simple enough to be easy to understand, or it's worse than useless, running the risk of destroying the delicate communication channel that opens between a good story and an audience. A Wikipedia contributor has identified what I suspect is probably the strongest inspiration on the idea of the lightsaber, the Force Blade from the Lucky Star series of science fiction juveniles, originally published 1952 to 1958 by Isaac Asimov, born 1920, died in 1992. Under the pen name Paul French, the Force Blade is a short shaft of stainless steel that can project force field that can cut through anything, making it almost the most vicious weapon in the galaxy. Asimov's Force Blade expands on his earlier invention of a penknife, which can, with a force field blade first used in his Foundation novel in 1951. Visit Wikipedia's lightsaber page to read Asimov's original description of a force blade. It's possible that the physical appearance of the lightsaber handle was inspired by the universal translators from the original Star Trek series, particularly the translator carried by Gorn from the Arena episode. They look very similar, but just about every science fiction movie and TV show from 1930 onward had stuff that looked like this. Also, Lucas was very careful to avoid resemblance between this movie and Star Trek. The lightsaber blade itself might be modeled after the phaser effect used in Season 2 of Space 1999 from 1975 to 1977, which was probably developed by Brian Johnson, who may have been inspired by the similar effects in Japanese giant monster movies. I think it's a safe bet lightsabers were all influenced by the magic swords from Lord of the Rings. When Luke watches from across a chasm as his mentor Obi-Wan duels with Darth Vader, that echoes the scene in which Frodo watches from across a chasm as his mentor Gandalf duels with the Balrog. The good guy's magic swords, Glamdring and Sting, glow blue. The evil Balrog's magic sword glows red. Where did Tolkien get the idea for a flaming sword in the first place? He was almost certainly inspired by Surtur, the king of the fire giants from Norse mythology. Surtur set Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, in motion by lighting the world on fire with his flaming sword. The idea of a flaming sword is at least as old as the book of Genesis. After Adam and Eve were cast out as the Garden of Eden, a magic flaming sword guarded the entrance to prevent them from re-entering. In one part of the Bible, the sword is held by an angel. In another, the sword magically floats in the air. Here are a few of the best alternate theories on which stories may have inspired the lightsaber. Calder, Planets of Antares, by Edmund Hamilton, 1933. Weird Tales magazine, reprinted in paperback, 1965. Alan Varney. Alan Varney suggests that Lucas may have been inspired by the passage. The sword seemed at first glance a simple long rapier of metal, but he found that when his grip tightened on the hilt, it pressed a catch that released a terrific force stored in the hilt into the blade, making it shine with light. When anything was touched by this shining blade, he found the force of the blade annihilated it instantly. He learned that the weapon was called a light sword. It seems likely that Lucas was at least familiar with Hamilton's work, since Lucas hired Hamilton's wife, Leah Brackett, to write the first draft of The Empire Strikes Back. Night Wings by Robert Silverberg, 1968, includes a sword or a knife with a blade of light that snaps on and off. "Give me your blade." I handed it to him, and he seized the handle and pressed the stud that brought forth the cool, keen beam of light. This Hugo Award-winning book also contained the line, "He looked more machine than man." Gather Darkness by Fritz Leiber, 1943. This story concerns two warring groups of priests who wear hooded brown and black robes. Each carry rods of wrath, short metal hilts from which spring a blade-like terminated beam of violet light, which can cut through just about anything. There are no sword duels. However, another weapon casts a writhing electric beam of blue light. The casting down of the statue of the Emperor at the end of the special edition of Jedi might be an echo of the casting down of the statue of the evil Pope at the end of Leiber's book. Far Out Space Nuts television series, 1975 to 1976. Chuck McCann, who played Barney, said that Lucas was working on the same film lot early in the 70s. Far Out Space Nuts television series, 1975 to 1976. Chuck McCann, who played Barney, said that Lucas was working on the same film lot in the early 1970s and wandered into the studio cafeteria one day to see the Space Nut cast sitting around having lunch, wearing various alien costumes. He believes that was the influence for the cantina scene. McCann further suggested that the lightsaber was inspired by the laser sword from the Space Nuts episode 2, Tower of Tagut. Here's a picture of it. Okay, I added the glow effect in the original. It looks like a glass stick in the end of the flashlight. Lightsabers were called laser swords in the first draft of Lucas' script, and several concept paintings. Bob Denver's orange jumpsuit even looks like Luke's X-Wing pilot outfit. They were probably both influenced by Air Force flight suits. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please leave a like or dislike and a comment down below. To see more videos in the future, press the subscribe button and the bell like button. Y'all have a nice day, and may the force be with you always.